Good afternoon, and welcome to another Super Secret Project sketch. This is Eric Whalen from Super Secret Project X, and after all this time, I almost failed that.
Boy.
I just hit like brain fog for a second. I was like, there's a lot of supers and secrets in there somewhere. All right, today, I want to do this character for a while because he's super magic, I guess. Super secret magic.
Magic, I'm not too sure.
No, he was wonderful in the 60s. He was wonderful in the aughts. Zorak, both from Space Ghost and Space Ghost Coast to Coast. Boom. This thing is opened. Boom. This thing is open further. Okay. I know. I've been sitting here writing all day, so it's actually nice to use my mouth for once. Okay, there we go.
And we are live on Facebook.
Oh, good. Maybe things will happen. Or not.
Make sure I'll keep checking this. I'm
going to take it easy today.
See, make sure that hopefully I can get the comments to pop up and see them as they go. And Facebook is generating auto captions. Whee!
Really?
Yeah.
Is it accurate?
Mostly.
See if it does this. A skeet dot diddly do.
It's about a minute.
All right.
Minute behind, so I'll let you know.
Well, tell me if we got a Facebook auto caption for a skeet dot diddly do. Probably the only thing I really remember from Dukes of Hazzard. Halfway down. So basically, what I'm doing right now. Uh-oh, is it happening?
No, it did not caption skeet that did do.
Oh, okay. So basically, I'm looking at Zorak here. I've got a little picture I pulled up from the newsletter I sent out with our schedule and stuff on it. And I'm not going to try to do anything revolutionary. I'm just going to look at the basic shapes and from, I guess it would be eye stock. I think it's eye stock. Eye stock to eye stock, or just freaky bug eye to freaky bug eye. That's roughly 3 times longer than it is high. So,
Not an eye stalk. An eye stalk if it actually comes off of a
2. A little over 2 times. Okay, so boom, boom, boom. So I'm sorry, you were saying, sweetie?
So typically it's not an eye stalk. Eye stalk actually comes off of the eye itself.
Yeah, but it's kind of coming like out
It's
of the sides of his head like a stumpy
It's a
eye
mantis
stalk.
head.
It's a mantis head. It's a mantis head.
Yeah, I just looking at that picture, I can kind of see a slight inspiration for Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
Man, now that you're saying that,
I mean, there is one scene where he actually says, like, my mantis-like posture, my incessant hand wringing.
incessant hand wringing. So basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to get some rough shapes down that roughly matches those proportions, and then I'm going to worry about making the shapes cleaner. Because it doesn't matter how good your circles are, if they're sitting in the wrong spot, they don't matter. So I'm going to try to roughly get those circles. Yeah, it's not bad. Roughly get those circles roughly in the right spot, roughly the right size. Swing it on down, boom, come on down, there you go. Around the bottom of the eye socket. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I just try to get close at the beginning, because if you get close with your basic shapes, the stuff that follows isn't going to be far off. basically, right now, all I'm doing is I'm quickly matching up to the original character. That way I can actually start playing with it a little bit. Because I don't want to screw up Zorak's design. I want him to look like Zorak. But then I want to go in and see if I can... I don't know. I mean, I love the design. It's simple, but it's simple. So maybe I can add to it a little bit. Because honestly, it is so simple, I can probably end up nailing it in just a few minutes, which is boring for everyone involved. I know, it's not like I'm being fancy or anything, it's just a matter of like, oh, that's the hard part about simple characters. You can technically draw some characters so quickly. It's like, I like spending at least a half hour chatting and sketching, not 5 minutes of sketching and half hour of chatting. I mean, that's bull. Oh, there we go.
From what we understand, people want more drawing and
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Chatting just like interspersed, you know.
Oh no, absolutely. It's just that when there's not enough sketching
Yeah.
to fill the blank, that sucks. So, all right. So I kind of want to come out.
It's funny how we've now we're now starting to see it for characters from our generation, but with Zorak, me personally, I hadn't seen or heard of the character until Space Ghost Coast to Coast, when he was being the parody character and stuff.
I recognize the character, but when that all came out, it had been years since I'd watched original Space Ghost, so it was like, oh, him! But I couldn't remember his name.
Yeah, I knew Space Ghost, but I had no idea about any other characters aside from Space Ghost himself. So, when Coast to Coast came out, and seeing him being the host of it, which was, well, he played the organ, right? Or was he just...
Yeah, he was like in that circular organ thing. I think he was supposed to be like the Ed McMahon of the show.
Yeah, Ed McMahon, the Andy Richter.
No, the Andy Richter, that's a
Yeah.
better one. Yeah. Even Andy Richter is now considered out of date, but
Right.
way better than Ed McMahon. Good going, Eric.
Oh, was it Ed McMahon?
I'm old! Where's my warm oatmeal and weak tea? Ed McMahon!
Back in my day, shows didn't suck.
Back in my day, dinosaurs weren't so loud. Shut up, Grandpa. Oh! Where's my heating pad? Which I have, by the way. Oh,
Okay,
getting old sucks.
we have we have 3 in total, and well, actually 2 of them were from not even like from being old, it was just from my early days when I got really, really bad cramps, so.
Meanwhile, you're sounding old right now.
And,
Ah!
alright, warm oatmeal boy.
There's my warm oatmeal. Don't make it too hot. Alright. So, I realize that Zorak does not have a ton of structure. I get it. But what I'm trying to do is I'm going to try to oomph the design up just a little bit. Not to take away from... I think this is an Alex Toth design, but I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah.
Anyways, so what I'm doing is I'm adding a little bit of structure, so then maybe I can inform the shapes. Like he's got these wonderful, like, serrated beak teeth.
Yeah.
And so I can go in and I can add the serrated beak teeth. And because I kind of figured out where the top of... It's got to be like a beak. I'm sure that's not the right insect term, but that way I can go and go, okay.
Mandible.
Mandible, that's a much better word. So that way I can kind of go down and go like, oh, see how this stuff wraps around.
My mild interest in entomology actually paid
Yeah,
off.
mine too, but I was totally blanking at that moment. Space Ghost. See, the reason why I put these shapes in, people go like, why do you go and put all the structural shapes in? Notice this, and I'm going to use a word I haven't used in years, trapezoid. Okay, see this trapezoid right here? That trapezoid I put down because I knew that was going to roughly be the base of the beak. So you go like, okay, well, his mouth is open, boom, well, that line comes out there. Well, how do I know where the other side of the mouth is? That's because I put down these shapes earlier and I know, whoop, whoop, well, whoop, whoop, roughly there. So I know that line is going to roughly come down here, curve back around. Am I going to keep that line? No, but it's 4H lead, so it's easy to erase and you can kind of just keep moving.
I read one of the strangest things a while back, about a week or so ago. Was going through some of the art threads that I usually pop through on Twitter and stuff, and one of the artists I follow was basically showing how he puts together some of his characters, and as we do, we break down and we do the
Sure.
shapes as we're constructing the character. And he was using circles
Sure.
of course, to break down the body and all. And somebody commented that they said that they were taught to not use circles to draw and construct forms. And the reply back was, well,
I can see why maybe, but
they were like, well, use what's good for you, but a circle is one of the most basic shapes.
But it's. I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I'm saying I might be able to understand why, depending upon who said that. Like, there's life drawing people out there where there's specific drawing techniques that do not use that. They go off of like straight lines and contours and this and that. They don't want you drawing like blob circles. So I think that might be somebody had a specific point of view in their own arena that made sense. But for me, I try to use all the basic shapes, lines, circles, tubes, blah 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 blah. So I can kind of get whatever I need at that time to, well, get me where I'm going, you know. So that person might have, like for example, when I was a teenager, I was working in a hardware store, wanting to be an artist, hadn't gone to college yet, blah blah blah. There was a guy that worked there. I can't remember his name for the life of me. But he was wanting to share his vast knowledge of art, and I'm not saying he was wrong. I think he actually was trained in something, but I can't remember what it was. But his big thing was draw with your shoulder. Draw with your shoulder. And I tell you right now, I draw with three things. These three fingers. Drawing with my shoulder, I don't understand how I'm supposed to get these shapes down here from my shoulder. Now, wrist, three fingers, elbow maybe, and if I'm doing something huge, shoulder, okay.
Yeah, huge wise, yeah.
But honestly, like right here, this, okay, take it back. Maybe it's three fingers and the wrist, but there's a whole lot of not using my shoulder there. And I'm not judging the guy. Maybe where he was coming from, that made sense. But at the time I was going like, really? Because I don't seem to understand how that would get me what I need as a cartoonist. He's like, oh, it's all about drawing with the shoulder. I was like, okay. As it turned out, I was never able to utilize that unless I was working on like those 2 by 3 foot like charcoal pads.
Yeah,
Then yeah, that made sense. But you know, this size here, maybe slightly larger is the biggest thing I draw on. That might change now with the new screen you picked up.
Yeah, 'cause that's
And I can get these results without my shoulders. So
yeah, 'cause I mean, me personally, with even using our current tablet that we have, when I'm inking, I find myself using my wrist because I'm doing long, smooth lines.
yeah,
And that's pretty much probably the most that I've done. Like you said, the big pads, 'cause I have the giant 18 by 24 pad that I've used occasionally. Okay, maybe that. But yeah, I think a lot of the artist fundamentals are change. Well, they need to be changing now
Well,
because
the mediums are changing.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think a lot of people like that are just the old school artists who are
Yeah.
coming at it from their, like you said, from
Yeah.
their medium. Which,
And in their arena, they're probably right.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
I remember when I was in college, I got asked to paint a mural in the basement of the building.
that'd
that
be
I
a
was
good reason to use your shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the gentleman that was co-painting, he was painting the main mural inside this area, which was kind of like a slight, kind of like a children's slash kind
Sure.
of community area, and I was doing the outside of the area with like there's two walls, and so the guy he wasn't the best artist to choose for this, and I think once they saw that I was a college kid and I could do the stuff that they really wanted, they put me on the other side, and I think they kind of wanted me to, I don't want to say take over the guy's stuff, but they were like, okay, we want to showcase your work, and
Yeah.
and he had more space.
Yeah.
But when the guy came in, he was trying to tell me how to do
Yeah.
my stuff.
Well,
And
it's because you were doing cartoon work, and a lot of people don't respect it.
yeah, and thing is, he was doing cartoons also, but he was doing it from an aspect that he was used to, and I don't think he was used to doing cartoons.
But that's what I was meaning.
Yeah, 'cause
You
he
were
was-
a cartoonist doing cartoons.
Right.
He was an artist doing a job.
Artiste.
Well, I won't
I
put
know.
him down in any degrading fashion. What I'm saying is I've talked to so many people that when I said I want to be a cartoonist professionally,
Yeah.
they immediately did the really, and I'm going like, you don't actually understand how really quality cartoon work is not easy to do, and it's not just a dumb, childish thing. It
It's-
actually takes a lot of work to be good. It takes not too much work to be okay, but it takes a lot of work to be good.
It surprised me the amount of people growing up and even now who think that cartoons are done by children.
Oh, that is so weird to me. Yeah. There's hundreds of children in an animation studio working hundreds of hours a week,
Writing,
drawing,
producing.
shooting, painting animation cells. Yeah, I don't remember the last time ever seeing a child that could do any one of those steps. Maybe there's a savant somewhere.
Oh,
But besides that, I'm just like, what? No, that makes no sense.
yeah, and it was pretty baffling to me. 'Cause I'm like, wow, y'all have never even, and I can understand that's just something a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah, they don't
just-
think about it.
yeah, either
They just think it's easy.
yeah, they don't watch cartoons. They don't. The only cartoons they do see are just for like their kids or grandkids or so, and they just it's just entertainment. It's bubble gum for them.
Yeah.
And they don't have to think about the work that goes into it. And yeah, it's just amazing when the amount of people who are just like, oh, this is all it is. Like,
Oh, this is
no,
a real thing?
This isn't
Yes!
all it is. But yeah, like to the one guy, yeah, he was. The ending story of that was apparently the lady who was the building manager. She said she caught him staring and analyzing and trying to figure out how I was doing my work because it turned out that my stuff was better than his. And so-
Well, it's because if you have me draw flowers and you put me up against somebody who draws flowers all day,
yeah.
I know for a fact I can get it done. But I also know for a fact that flower specialist is going to whip my butt.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same thing with motorcycles and cartoons. Yeah, a really good jack of all trades can do just about anything.
Yeah.
But you can't expect them to be like, no specifics. It's like Yeah, try to do French impressionist painting, like a Van Gogh or something. That you would think would be easy. It is not remotely easy. You could probably study up on it and try some stuff, but if that's not what you're doing, you don't have that advantage. You don't have the advantage of knowing the right mentalities and tricks and with cartooning, line is so insanely important. And if you don't walk in thinking about how important the lines are, you're already 10 miles behind the other guy.
Right.
You can be like, oh, it's all block shapes. Technically, yeah. But if you do all really good block shapes with crap line artwork, guess where the people's eyes are going to go when they do when they're looking at the cartoon character? They're going to look at the lines. Yeah, you might have got the block shapes right, but Space Ghost.
I'm trying to remember. So I know we've watched a few since we got the Blu-rays and stuff. We've been putting those on, watching those again, and I'm trying to like the initial point of seeing him, of seeing the original character, just kind of cracked up laughing because all I could just think of was, of course, the Coast to Coast version of him.
Sure.
And all of the jokes and the zingers he would get in on Space Ghost would just have me cracking up. And then there was oh crap, what was the cat monster guy?
Oh, Brack.
Brack, yeah. And
Which was kind of a pseudo-Asian villain in the original one.
yeah,
sort of.
I laughed my butt off because seeing him again on Coast to Coast and seeing how they made him, and then seeing the original cartoon, I'm like, wait a minute.
I know, it's pretty funny because
They made him an idiot.
he's like this bad dude, like in the
Yeah.
original. In cartoon terms, I get it, but he was like a bad dude, It's like a cat species, and they had, I don't want to exactly say Asian, but he had sort of a odd, I guess, Oriental accent of some kind. It was a strange way he was talking.
Pseudo. Well, yeah.
Not really insulting, but also kind of like, huh.
I think the term Oriental would probably fit because
That's
it's
what I
not
mean.
the-
It's not specifically
it's not-
anything.
It was what they thought of that time period, and using that archaic language is the best way to describe what that was.
Yeah, it's about right.
Yeah.
And
So not being insulting,
No,
but
it's-
using the language of the time to describe it.
yeah, no, it's just what it is. I mean, people can't deal with language, and they're going to get upset at every single little thing that's being said.
It is what it is.
Good luck with living your life,
But yeah, it was. I'm like, wait, that's how he actually was, because I was expecting kind of like not the idiot version that they made him on Coast to Coast, but kind of like a similarity voice wise. But no,
Nothing close.
they completely changed it, which was good in a sense, but still.
It was more like
cracked me up.
Space Ghost. I mean, that with like a little bit more of an accent. He was kind of slightly feral sounding, and
Yeah.
and honestly, as imperfect as he was, it was kind of neat having like an entire like alien cat species that had like like alpha males and stuff. I don't know any other better way of putting it, because that's kind of, he was like, I think they called him I think his title was Brackmaster, if I remember correctly, and he had like the sub underlings. They all had those weird headgear and the sort of the cat faces and stuff. And I'm not saying it was perfect, but it was kind of fun. It was definitely imperfect, that's for sure. It was something like that. I'm gonna rewatch some Space Ghost again and be like, oh right, it was blank instead of blank. But yeah, no, it's not like Space Ghost is a perfect show, but as sort of gitchy 60s sci-fi action shows with aliens and spaceships and people whizzing around with ridiculous sci-fi beams and stuff, it's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty fun, but it definitely isn't everyone's cup of tea, I had a point in there.
I was always, even as a little kid, just curious about the whole adult superheroes with like teen wards who are hanging out with them. And
It is kind of odd, isn't it?
I mean, I'm like, is it an internship? Is it
Yeah.
mentoring? What are they just kind of hanging out like an after-school program?
Is it child labor? What is
Yeah,
this?
for real.
Well, it's like when I found out why the tendency of the Japanese to have like 14-year-old heroes. I was actually really surprised when I realized that during World War II, their last lines of soldiers were like 14-year-olds with guns. So there's like this weird, like, that kind of, I think, got passed down into animation, and now there's a bunch of 14-year-olds piloting war robots and stuff. But there's sort of a weird historical reason why.
Yeah.
With us, there must be a reason why we had so many adults with like teen sidekicks, like they're living with them or something. Like with Batman and Robin, it was sort of like it was his ward, and but then you kind of go like, if I was that dude, would I be dragging? What is he supposed to be, 15 or 16 in the original version? He was pretty young.
Mm-hmm. And even with that, I can kind of understand because Robin's parents died, of course.
Yeah. I mean, I get the
So
superhero reasoning. I'm just saying, in reality, I wouldn't be dragging an orphan out into the streets to fight crime with me. You know, I'm just saying, it's a great idea for a comic book, but I'm curious as to what specifically made that idea make sense at the time, because let's say that idea never happened, and today you started doing comics all of a sudden like that. I'm gonna have this guy, he fights fire demons, from hell. Yeah. And he's gonna drag his 14-year-old neighbor with him. And you'd be like, what? Like, why would you do that? I don't know, maybe the 14-year-old would be like helpful somehow. Maybe do acrobatics or juggle or whatever 14-year-olds do. It's just like if you think about it, I always kind of went, that's kind of odd, isn't it?
I like the Tiny Toons version when they came when it was the Just Us League, and it was Bat Duck, and Hampton was Bucky's Robin, but it was Bullseye.
Yeah, I remember that. I thought that was funny.
Mhm. Instead of the R, he had the big bullseye on his belly. Trusty sidekick Bullseye. But yeah, that whole thing went from like the 60s up until like the early 80s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Super Friends had the two, had the one scooter kid.
Yeah, had the boy and the girl
Yeah.
in the first season or two of Super Friends.
And that was late 70s, right? That was late
Something
70s.
like that. I'm not as up on Super Friends. I mean, I am a little bit, but not as much as I could be. But yeah, it's just if you think about it, you're like, why are these adults dragging children out to fight crime? I'm not saying that isn't like a learning experience or something, but you kind of go, don't the bad guys have guns? Couldn't he die if he... Oh, never mind. You go for it, Batman. And it was like Space Ghost was the same way. It's like when you said interns, I was just chuckling because I think that's actually what they were. Is Space Ghost had Jan and Jace, and I don't recall if they actually said their names, but they were always hinting that they were somewhere between 16 and 18. And okay, fine. 18, you're like, I mean, that's old enough to go out and, I don't know, join the army, I guess. So I guess that's about right. But you go 16-year-old, you're fighting lava monsters and stuff. You're sitting there with your super secret, like, ghost planet with your violence monkey, and you're bringing in like two teenagers, like I'm going like, and then you give them like a little spaceship to zoom around the galaxy and look for criminals for you, and you just kind of go like, I don't know. It just seems like they'd end up in like a vat of acid or something to me. Where you're fighting intergalactic criminals, Space Ghost. Those are kids. What are you doing?
Do their parents know what you're doing, man?
Get more violence, monkeys, Space Ghost. That'll... Blip wins the show half the time anyway. You don't need the kids on your team. You're a horrible person, Space Ghost.
Was this in the pamphlet when you, like, came to their school?
He just shows up at a school presentation looking for more meat.
Jury. Hey, kids.
You want to get invisible and wear tight clothing in space? And everyone just goes like, is there a violence monkey involved? Why, yes. Yes, there is. What is your name? Jace. You're perfect. You're perfect, Jace. You're coming with me. Hey, you wouldn't happen to have a sister, would you? You know, so it looks okay to the, the parents at home that I'm not just hanging out with a 16-year-old boy in space on my private planet.
I think it'd look even worse because you got both of them now.
Well, there's at least an argument of one kind or another to be had. Whereas the one you just kind of go like, well, we're looking past Batman and Robin, but this Space Ghost guy, I mean, come on. Like,
heck, at least Batman was like rich.
hey, Space Ghost might be. I've never been able to figure out what the heck he is, or why he's doing what he's doing. It's like, is he rich? Is he like a sheriff?
Well, maybe,
is he just a crazy guy on a planet with lots of weaponry?
I was about to say, because he comes from a planet of. Are there other beings like him, or is that his planet?
Well, no. As far as I can tell, he's human. I don't think they've ever said otherwise. I think he's from Earth, but they don't really explain. I don't think he's actually like law enforcement. I think he's just some guy with this technology that goes around kicking villains' butts, which is kind of awesome, but it's also like, wait, what exactly is happening in this show? All I know is all the criminals are scared of you, for good reason, violence monkey, but it's like he has his own planet, he has his own technology, he has weapons no one else has, he has interns. So yeah, so it's you kind of like wonder, like some of these villains just go like, and I shall take over the planet with robotic lava mice or whatever. By the way, that didn't actually happen, but if you combine enough shows together, you'll get robotic lava mice, and then they're like, and I will take over the universe. And then Space Ghost shows up, and they're like, oh crap, Space Ghost, I forgot about that part. I mean, Zorak actually was one of the smarter ones. He actually had plots where he nearly got Space Ghost. He's really dangerous compared to a couple of them. Because not only is he smart, he's ruthless, and he's got a bunch of praying mantis men that's willing to, be ruthless with him. Some of them are just like, really, Creature King? Really? You're going to take over the universe and admittedly, your giant scaly ape is amazing. And your giant flying sonic bats are pretty sweet. But you've got like 12 creatures, of which Space Ghost just kicks the crap out of every single time. Except for like maybe an episode where, he got tricked, but...
I gotta give props to the name Creature King. I mean, that's...
It's a great name.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much just handing in your business card. This is who I am.
I'm Creature King, and I love the fact that he just has a creature-controlling helmet, and his entire shtick is get the worst, most nasty monsters and throw them at people. I mean, it's a good shtick. But yeah, no, it's funny. I don't think a lot of these shows are the greatest shows ever. I do, however, think that they kind of were this perfect slice of an idea and a time period. And so things like Zorak, are there better villains than Zorak? Of course there's better villains than Zorak. but it's kind of a wonderful design, you know?
Right.
And it's kind of a fun idea. And he's just perfectly, villainous. Where they're like, "Yeah, we need an alien space praying mantis," and he's a devious jerk. Like, all right, I see where you're coming from. That's pretty good. I'm not saying it's better than the new stuff. I'm just saying I think it's legitimate. That's all I'm saying. I just think the stuff is legitimately things you can learn from.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a lot of those shows. A lot of the stuff we have wouldn't either have come forward or wouldn't be without a lot of that. A lot of the foundational stuff.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm kind of wondering if Doofenshmirtz.
The moment you said that, I was like, did they base, like even like subconsciously, like, because they have a similar shape, and I mean not identical by any means, but
I mean, like Dan Hovenmeyer, that he's older than us, so that would have been around his time, definitely.
well, it's actually the funny thing is anybody even slightly younger than us might have still caught this stuff on TV. Like, I saw any of these when they came out. I was all watching reruns. And I'm glad I caught these reruns because they were cheap shows. They weren't the best thing ever, but they were fun. Matter of fact, when I was younger, I was kind of getting tired of Hanna-Barbera and stuff because I was wanting the old new cartoons and, how all the cartoons went and everything. And we started getting anime influences in where the Japanese companies would do like the Thundercats opening or anything where the animation was like shockingly good.
Yeah.
So the older stuff kind of faded away in the background for a little while to me. But then I went back and looked at it, I was kind of going like, yeah, but there's still something really here. I mean, ignore the weak points. There's just some of the designs are fun. There's things that can be learned, and that's kind of why I'm going back and I'm like redrawing these characters because I'm going like, there's stuff to be learned from this. Even if I don't exactly draw this anymore, just sort of going in and being like, right, yeah, no, keep it simple, stupid. You don't have to go complicated. Sometimes just simple is better. And I'm like, ah. Remember Zorak? He's a devious praying mantis dude. Learn from the devious praying mantis dude. Zorak. Space Ghost. Like, one of the first Zorak plots I remember, because I was like, now that's thinking. Because it was legitimate. He wanted Space Ghost to follow him, so he broke into Ghost Planet and kidnapped the kids. And then was like, Space Ghost will be forced to follow us. And like his praying mantis sidekick is like, but how? And he takes a note with a knife and goes, and there's the note of, I've got your kids, Space Ghost. I was kind of going like, all right, I know I'm exaggerating slightly, but that's essentially what happened. And I'm going like, that's actually a pretty good solid villain move. You want to bring the hero into a trap? Swipe his interns. Got your intern, Space Ghost. Zorak, you malevolent mantis. That's what you get for not tipping on that pizza I delivered. It was 2 minutes late, Bugbrain. Screw you, Space Ghost. I was still trying to pay off that uniform.
Imagine looking over and just seeing you playing with figures. while you were doing that.
In doing what now?
So I don't know why, but when you were doing the monologue there, I was, imagine you like playing with action figures.
Yeah. No, I can get. The moment you said that, I was like, yeah, that works. Yeah. Yeah. Space Ghost! Right, I need a big.
You guys just witnessed 8-year-old Eric right there for a few minutes.
Except 8-year-old Eric wasn't that funny. He was kind of a dimwit. It's true, I ain't gonna lie about it. There we go, right about there. There it is. Yeah, it's not too bad. It looks like him, that's important.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Really couldn't take him too far away from the original character. Added a little bit of extra oomph around the eye sockets.
Yeah,
Gave a little bit more shape to the antenna, a little bit more shape into the beak. Highlights in the eyes, but beyond that, it's really tough to like do much to this character with that. It would just change him. So okay, well that's pretty good, and about 45 minutes today, so that ain't too bad either. All right, so because I have to pay the bills, blah blah blah. Do you want a schedule of upcoming episodes and links to missed episodes sent to your email? Then go to supersecretprojectx.com/ericart and sign up for my newsletter at the bottom of the page. I know. Boom, boom, and I am
Look at that. Look at that beautiful
transitioning back, which apparently took a little too long. Okay. Because the universe has a sick sense of humor, as is tradition, whenever I finish up two characters facing each other in my sketchbook, who will be spending the rest of eternity lip-locked in an intimate and grotesque embrace. Thundar the Barbarian, meet Zorak.
That's a
Oh.
crossover right there.
Sealed for our freshness and sanity, I guess. I suppose. Oh. Foul universe, making those two lock lips slash mandibles.
Yeah, universe.
It's a callback. It's a callback. All right. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we will be back next week with, from my newsletter, by the way, did Zorak this week. And next week, Lashida's been mentioning this character, and I thought it was a good idea because I wanted to do kind of a dangerous hot chick. So we're going to be doing Helga from Atlantis next week. Atlantis I feel to be a rather under celebrated Disney film, but we will be doing Helga, and then after that, yeah, I will be having to release a new newsletter, which I need to be getting onto soon. So, anywho, we will be doing Helga next week at, is it 4? What time are we doing that? It says 5 p.m. here. I thought I had written 4. It'll be at 4 p.m. because we probably have something happening. Anywho, it will happen regardless either way. So everyone have yourself a good week, and we will catch you